Pathetic thunder is pathetic. The cinematographer may have been drunken and crashed to the floor, but this wouldn't stop the director from proceeding. Stephen Moffat, the man who took the only female character on a par with Sherlock Holmes and turned her into a prostitute. Right, take the name of a famous author, juggle around with story titles, and then do as you please with plot and characters. That's what based on means.
Falls off the Reichenbach.
Roll credits. The only black person in the room is a waiter.
Diamond cufflinks. All my cuffs have buttons.
What? This music.
Typing. I don't wear ties.
Sherlock is a dick to kids. For making use of one of the most popular Sherlock Holmes attributes, we should send the writers a one-way ticket to the sun. But due to a low budget, we can only classify it as a sin. Sherlock can see through everyone and everything he's confronted with, but he doesn't know a deer stalker when he sees one.
Perhaps it's an ear hat, John.
Also, Sherlock is a dick to hats.
This isn't a deerstalker now, it's a Sherlock Holmes hat.
The irony! It's presumably the middle of the day. Why are all the lamps switched on? Sherlock is a dick to the environment. Also, there's broad daylight only in the lower half of the window. Spot the psychopath! Moriarty is the only person not carrying a bag or rucksack. In this shot, the director thought, maybe an apple isn't badass enough. Let's give him chewing gum, so he comes across even more as an asshole. Britain's most famous private detective is a standard SMS term.
She froze.
Keeps doing that.
Sherlock is an idiot. A whole scene so that we know he's got headphones and a mobile phone. The security guards and controllers may have been bribed and therefore won't pay much attention to Moriarty, but not even one tourist is looking funny at him. Either this is completely unrealistic, or tourists in Britain are more tolerant than I'm giving them credit for.
Guilds at 7.
This music. All of these stereotypical actions are taking place at the exact same time. How utterly convenient. Icons designed only for the purpose of stealing the crown jewels, robbing banks and letting the security at a security prison fail. This is a cool piece of animation, if you haven't seen The Matrix. The security guard doesn't notice Moriarty still standing in front of the crown jewels. The guard closing the door doesn't even wait for his colleague's return, with or without any remaining tourists, before closing the door. Hint. If you want to inform someone as quickly as possible, don't pick anyone wearing high heels as bearer of the news. He opens his mouth and counts the marks skillfully, synchronously. Bad acting going once, going twice, and sold. Moriarty has already written S-H-E in the first shot, whereas in the second shot, he starts writing it again. Also, that's the cheapest diamond I've ever seen. The position of the chewing gum equipped with a diamond keeps jumping back and forth between T and E. The glass must be both cheap and thin if it breaks like this. Also, we see splinters flying, landing on the throne in this scene. Moriarty should be pretty scratched right now. Or at least his backside. Look! Sherlock ditched Watson and moved in with Arthur Dent.
That glass is tougher than anything.
Not tougher than crystallized carbon.
No, it isn't.
He used a diamond.
And no, he didn't. Sherlock is an idiot. The two lower paragraphs are identical. Also, the article is using both Boffin Holmes and confirmed Bachelor John Watson in one sentence. The first paragraph starts with, in a twist worthy of a Conan Doyle novella. So let me get this straight. In this twisted version of Stephen Moffat's universe, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle did create Sherlock Holmes and John Watson in his novels? And nobody cares that the nation's favorite detective and his faithful companion have the exact same names. The irony in that song.
Confidence. No witness of the trial should come across as intelligent.
What? The last reporter must have turned 1/4 to the right so that you can see the two women in the last shot compared to the first shot. He obviously let the smallest and only female guard closest to the accused, so there's a strong possibility of him assaulting her. Also, he didn't have this piece of chewing gum wrapped up. That's pretty unhygienic. Kitty is pathetically drawing attention to herself by letting her bag drop on the floor in an overdramatic way.
Wrong toilet.
Splendidly fathomed, Holmes.
Sign my shirt, would you?
It's not a shirt, it's a blouse. And, by the way, shouldn't he let him sign her breasts instead of her blouse? Who signs a blouse?
There's marks on your forearm, edge of a desk. You've been typing in a hurry, probably. Pressure on, facing a deadline.
Or a more plausible explanation would be that she's got marks on her forearms because her chair isn't high enough for her to reach her keyboard properly. Anyway, the marks are only on her inner arms, in a place where she can't even touch the desk if she's typing properly. If she's got those marks from typing, then she's typing with 8 fingers only, while her hands are resting on her thumbs. Just saying.
I just deliberate to see if I'm as good as they say I am.
What?
You think you're the girl for that job, do you?
I'm smart.
Pissing off a famous detective by putting his skills to a test doesn't sound so smart to me.
And you can trust me.
Why should he trust her? Acting like a silly fangirl before revealing to be an investigative journalist isn't what I'd call trustworthy.
I look at you and I see someone who's still waiting for their first big scoop. So that the editor will notice that you're wearing an expensive skirt that has been re-hemmed twice. Only posh skirt you've got in your nails. You can't afford to do them that often. I see someone who's hungry.
Kitty's background story and personality seems actually more interesting than the main characters. Steve Moffat would have been better off with following her on her investigations than a standoffish private detective with no facial expression apart from mildly bored.
Only posh skirt you've got in your nails. You can't afford to do them that often.
That's sexist.
You repel me.
Sherlock is a dick to journalists. Also, there's the I offered you help and you're going to be reminded of it as soon as you're in trouble cliché.
How would I describe him? What opinion have I formed of him? We don't teach you this.
Sherlock is a dick to prosecutors.
Do you think you could survive for just a few minutes without showing off?
Trick question.
If Moriarty wanted the jewels, he'd have them. If he wanted those prisoners freed, they'd be out on the streets. The only reason he's still in a...
What? In the previous shots, Moriarty doesn't seem to be chewing gum, whereas in the last shot, he's surprisingly chewing. Or is he only pretending to be chewing gum? But wouldn't that not only be totally stupid, but completely insane? Oh.
Are you listening? He's out. You know he'll be coming after you.
Sherlock is a dick to Watson. Dramatic tea making. Also, this tea set. This look doesn't seem to be hard to pick. I really would have loved to actually see how he plays the violin, and all of a sudden the director changed his mind and said, well, sod this. We'll give him an apple so that he'll appear even more as an asshole. In the first shot, the tea is visibly steaming, but as soon as Sherlock hands the cup to Moriarty, it's cold. No one who cares at least a bit for his violin puts it on its back. It's supposed to stand on the rib. Sherlock is addicted to violin.
Oh, that's the problem. The final problem.
They do as they please with the original, but keep slipping in references to pretend they can. Obvious tapping a secret combination on the knee movement is obvious. Even Sherlock the idiot should have seen through that.
And honey, you should see me in a crown.
If Moriarty is suggesting what I think he's suggesting to Sherlock, then that beats my fanfiction. Alright, most of my fanfiction.
They all want me. Suddenly, I'm Mr. Sex.
Oh, can't he just stop? Come on! It's as if they're begging their fans to write fanfiction.
Never liked riddles.
He doesn't like riddles? He is bloody Sherlock Holmes. Bad apple carving. And some more power guzzling. The first lamp is turned on, though no one is sitting at the table. If the light is smooth like this, then the room must be pretty dusty. Mycroft should seriously consider hiring a cleaning lady. Even more power guzzling. Every lamp is switched on in this room. And seriously, which sane person has at least 9 lamps in one room, not counting the chandeliers? Discount drug packages.
Bastards asked for you personally.
A Reichenbach hero.
Actually, it's pronounced Reichenbach.
Linseed oil.
Usually, linseed oil loses its smell at room temperature.
I've got a lunch date.
Cancel it. You're having lunch with me.
Sherlock is addicted to Molly's lunch date.
Yes, and then he stole the crown jewels, broke into the Bank of England, and organised a prison break at Pentonville. For the sake of law and order, I suggest you avoid all future attempts at a relationship, Molly.
What? Unnecessary chemical experiments. Just vegetation? What kind of analysis did he do on that one?
If there's anything I can do, anything you need, anything at all, you can have me.
What can I need from you?
Thousands of fanfiction writers know the answer to this.
Mercury. What? The papers, they're painted with mercury, lethal. More of the stuff they ate.
A lethal dosage of mercury is between 150 and 300 milligrams. And there wasn't even mercury in the sweets, it was only on the paper. If it has already dried, then there isn't even a risk of inhaling dangerous vapors. The kids would probably have died of malnutrition before the mercury would have shown any effect. And if mercury is so lethal, then why doesn't it matter that Sherlock has licked the wrapping? In-joke bandit.
Unbelievable.
Why does the only thick person working for the police have to be a woman? The car driving behind the cab isn't even slowing down, but accelerating as it approaches Sherlock, and is neither honking nor using the headlight flashes. It starts honking after passing Sherlock. There's one car driver that needs to hand over his license. Judging by the angle of entry, at least one of the bullets should have went through Sherlock's head. Also, there are people standing in the street. Are shootings in London this common? Network name in Cyrillic script? Are these guys even trying to operate incognito? What's that? Looks like someone tried to paint a gingerbread man to make it look burned. And did a terrible job. That's not what a burned gingerbread man looks like. That's how it looks like. Or probably like this. And if it should look as if the gingerbread man was burned after being baked, which would be completely stupid and unnecessary by the way, then why did neither the icing nor a single glacé cherry burn?
Burnt to a crisp.
No, it isn't. Can't you see that it's painted? Worst detective ever.
Sherlock Holmes, I'm arresting you on suspicion of abduction.
Should have arrested him for idiocy.
What are you looking at?
Off-screen punching.
I was thinking more about our imminent and daring escape.
What?
Oh, what now?
In geography.
Sherlock, wait!
We're going to need to coordinate.
Before they could have finished coordinating, one of the policemen should have got them.
We're going to jump in front of that bus.
Finally, something reasonable. Nope, that's impossible. Also, this bus is neither honking nor using the headlight flasher. If Moriarty would have wanted Sherlock killed, he should have hired some car drivers instead of contract killers. In the first two shots, the bus has already passed them, whereas in the last shot, the bus must have jumped back a bit to be in the current position. In the first shot, a silver car is passing them, whereas in the next shot, it hasn't already passed them. The first silver car is followed by a second silver car, which is replaced by a black car in the next shot.
It's a game changer. It's a key. It can break into any system and it's sitting in our flat right now.
We interrupt this episode of Sherlock to bring you Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. This flat. Also, who has a light switch installed that illuminates every single lamp in the room?
Darn, they didn't have any ground.
He was outside like this. No jacket? Wasn't it raining earlier this day?
We met! Remember, you were gonna blow me up!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He paid me. I needed to work. I'm an actor. I was out of work.
Unemployment justifies attempted murder. Sitting room bed.
Even that's the...
Sherlock is walking on the street and no one's trying to run him over. That's something new.
I think I'm going to die.
Main character pretends to be dying when everyone knows that he won't. Cliché.
What do you need?
You.
Cannon fodder for fangirl.
That's James Moriarty. The most dangerous criminal mind the world has ever seen.
Mycroft describes Moriarty as the most dangerous criminal mind the world has ever seen. And in return for talking to him, Moriarty wants to know Sherlock's life story. And Mycroft is actually stupid enough to tell it to Moriarty? Why didn't he just make something up instead of telling him his real story?
She's my landlady.
She's dying! You machine! Sod this. Sod this. You stay here.
Why is John so surprised at Sherlock's lack of emotions? He has never been any different from acting and talking like a brain-dead version of Alan Rickman. And suddenly it's the middle of the day. I get it. Staying alive. Very clever.
You and me, Sherlock. And our problem, the final problem.
Bloody hell, will he stop saying that?
Staying alive!
Yeah, we got that. Still not funny. It's taking Sherlock pretty long to bring his hands together. He'd better have his reflexes checked.
This book in German is Reichenbach.
No, it isn't. Brook may be translated as Bach. but rich, short for rigid, translates as Reich. Therefore, his name is Reichenbach. Reichen would have been the dative or accusative case. So much for German grammar.
There's no stopping them now.
Unless my people see you jump.
Well, how are they supposed to see the job? If Moriarty hasn't bothered buying the binoculars, then I don't see how this is possible. In the first shot, Sherlock is stepping onto the edge, while in the next shot, he hasn't even lifted his foot. If they hadn't used the horizontal format, Sherlock's ego probably wouldn't have fit in.
Oh, I may be on the side of the angels, but don't think for 1 second that I am one of them.
No. You're not. You're not ordinary. No. You're me.
That sounded like no plot twist at all to me. Worst place for hiding a gun. In the first shot, it's snowing. In the close-up, it has stopped already. I know, it's all fake. But Sherlock actually lets his war-damaged friend watch his post-suicide? Post-war trauma isn't enough, nope. Let's make our best friend watch our suicide. Sherlock is addicted to John. John tried to check Sherlock's pulse merely on his wrist. Why didn't he try checking his pulse near his carotid artery? If someone happens to have a low heart rate, then you should definitely check the pulse on his neck. John Watson is probably the worst doctor ever. Maybe that's the reason why he's the best sidekick for the worst detective ever. Of course, it was obvious that Sherlock isn't dead. But couldn't you wait for the next episode? This way we know nothing about his survival. All we know is that there has to be another season. Thanks for now.